Sean Diddy Combs case, we have had so many people that have taken a stand against Puff Daddy, y'all. We've got Israel Flores, who was the security officer at the Intercontinental Hotel during the March 16 assault on Cassie. We've got Daniel Phillip, who is the male review manager, who basically he said he was paid to have intercourse with Cassie. We have Yassine Benda, the Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent, who raided hotels off up in New York. We have Don Richard from Danity Kane. We had Carrie Morgan, who is Carrie's ex-best friend, who said that she never talked to Cassie again after Cassie let Combs assault her without consequence. Then we had David James, who is the former assistant of Diddy. Regina Ventura, who is Cassie Ventura's mother. We've had Sheree Hayes, who's a male exotic dancer, who said that he had multiple encounters of the you-know-what nature with Combs and Ventura. We've had Gerard Cannon, the Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent, who oversaw the Miami Beach home raid. And then we have Don Hughes, the forensic psychologist and expert witness about Kid Cudi's car, who Kid Cudi also had taken a stand as well. We had George Kaplan, another one of Diddy's assistants. And then we had Mila Morales, who was the makeup artist who worked with Combs and Ventura. We've had Frederick Zamora, the manager at the Le Hermitage Hotel in Beverly Hills, who testified about when Diddy stays there, how they have to have extra precautions, including extra money. We have Joshua Croft, who is a computer forensics agent with Homeland Security, who extracted various copious amounts of data from Ventura's computer. You know, listen, day 10, let's talk about day 10. We're going to go all the way through to where it's at right now. Listen, day 10, the assistant took the stand. We know that, listen, we had Maureen Comey, that's the prosecutor, called the first witness on this day. The employee Capricorn Clark, one of the assistants, took the stand. Okay. I want to say Capricorn Clark might be the undoing of Diddy, but then I feel like it's all inclusive because he just was acting a fool. Okay. Prosecutors are planning to call people from the Los Angeles Police Department. And everything is going according to plan. George Kaplan, David James might be taking a stand once again as well. So there was a small break, and then obviously court had resumed. Victim 3 has been running from the case. The kids this week have been showing up late to court. Listen, this victim 3, okay, said that she blatantly just did not want to testify in the case. She just said she didn't want to testify. And I'm gonna ask you guys to excuse me. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna turn off my AC. I feel like it's a little bit loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background, but I'm just going to turn it right on off because it is definitely giving me I'm loud as heck vibes. Okay, in my camera. All right, so victim number 3 just blatantly said that she didn't want to testify. Now, this comes after she already spoke to prosecutors and everything about this case. Now, she was referenced in the government superseding indictment as part of the racketeering conspiracy count, which a lot of people are like, oh, well, if victim number 3 doesn't testify, does that mean that they're not going to be able to get him on racketeering? That's not necessarily true. Racketeering has a lot to do with the arson. Kid Cudi talked about the arson. It has a lot to do with the prostitution, sex trafficking, which obviously we heard about from several different witnesses claiming that they had been presented with opportunities to perform for both him and Cassie. Diddy and Cassie. So just because victim number 3, the Jane Doe, was not in attendance, that does not mean that, okay? The indictment is saying that Sean Diddy Combs and his associates had basically wielded their power through intimidations and threats and underage, and commercial sex acts. The prosecutor said that these were known as his freak-offs, and There was a lot of, one more thing that I want to mention in the with the racketeering is also the forced labor that is also a part of racketeering. And we did have a lady on the stand yesterday. We'll bring her up in just a little while, who talked about that she felt she had been working 24/8, which is all the way around the clock, all the time. She wasn't happy about it. She had been sexually assaulted by Sean Diddy Combs. She was on the stand crying. We'll get into that in a short while. All right, so judge took the bench. This is day 10. I'm going to summarize it all the way up until today. Just a real quick summary. So judge took the bench. Judge Arun Subramanian on day 10. We've already had George Kaplan and Dave James testify. The government has called 16 witnesses at this point. Diddy's still pleading not guilty, hasn't changed his plea. Capricorn Clark was expected to testify that day, and did. Fire investigator testified about the fire set to Kid Cudi's car in 2012. We heard about that. The forensic investigator also testified about that. Says it was a Molotov cocktail. That's a very important keynote when it comes to Sean Diddy's case, because part of racketeering is definitely arson. It goes back to those mob ties, and what the mobsters used to do. Okay. A lot of people don't know, but a lot of this comes about because of some of the mobsters' behavior when it comes to, crimes. Okay. All right. So, there was an objection from the prosecutors. But the judge said that the defense can ask the investigator about the report that says that there was partial DNA, female DNA, that was removed from the glass bottle. To me, listen, they're saying, oh, there was female DNA on the glass bottle on the Molotov canister that was thrown into the Porsche, into Kid Cudi's Porsche. That doesn't prove anything, because we have coercion involved with this case as well. We have it to where Diddy is coercing his employees to do things. As a matter of fact, Kid Cudi testified that he had spoken to Capricorn Clark, and she admitted that that she had been coerced into participating in driving over to Kid Cudi's house for the sake of Diddy to kill him on the stand. She actually did say that. So it turns out that Diddy was actually planning on offing our boy, Kid Cudi. But so just because there's female DNA that was present on the Molotov cocktail, that doesn't prove anything extra to me. Okay. Last week, Ventura's mom talked about the equity loan to get $20,000 to pay Combs to recoup any money that he had spent on Cassie, because he was angry that they weren't in a relationship. After a while, he told her he didn't even need it anymore, this, that, and the other. For you to make her mother pay you, that's a different step to intimidation. You're going to pay me for the fact that I trafficked your daughter. Now you're my HOE, is basically what he might as well have said. But anyway, Capricorn Clark was called to the stand. Okay, she is the 17th witness that's called by the Assistant U.S. Attorney Mitzi Steiner, who was questioning her at the same in the same instance. Capricorn Clark, former director of marketing for Diddy Combs, said that she had been in the music industry right after high school. She got with Def Jam Records. Both of her parents had passed away, which means that she had to basically become her own adult very, very much sooner, which makes her a perfect target for somebody like Sean Diddy Combs, who knows that she's vulnerable. One thing that I didn't like, the theme that was going on, if you guys pay attention as I summarize this scenario that's going on with Diddy and in his court case, is that you will see that the women that were involved in this court case with Diddy were paid significantly less, while the men were paid significantly more. And meanwhile, while the women were paid significantly less, they were also being used as basically sex slaves at the end of the day. Workers worker slaves, people that were having to overextend themselves to please Diddy. And to me, it is absolutely ridiculous, and it's harsh, and it's a pretty sad scenario, and I hate to see that had happened. in this case. Anyway, so she said that she worked for Death Row and Def Jam, which Suge Knight had authority of then. Suge Knight's been speaking a little bit on the case, saying that Diddy should take the stand. We're not taking no advice from you, Suge Knight, okay? Anyway, around 2004, she started working for Bad Boy Entertainment as a personal assistant. She left in 2006, returned back in 2007 as the marketing director for Sean John Women's. She said she became the global brand director in 2008. And this was before being terminated in 2012. She then worked for Cassie's and as her creative director in 2016 to 2018. Now, she says that Diddy threatened her on her very first day at work. She said that he took her to Central Park with his security guard after 9 p.m. Now, I don't know who's working after 9 p.m. That's not normal work hours. I don't want to work those hours, okay? But he bought up her former employment with Death Row Records, which he considers Suge Knight to be his rival. Here's a quote. He told me that he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight. And if anything happened, he would kill me. Okay? That is a direct threat. That is absolutely not okay. And so I feel very bad for her in this instance. So sorry about that. My cat fell from somewhere and I had to go get him. So anyways, all right. With that being said, when somebody threatens to kill you, and then when it comes to the case of it being as serious as something that has to do with Suge Knight, you take that serious, okay? There's been plenty deaths around Sean Diddy Combs and Suge Knight. I would not have stayed on at this job. I would have went and filed a police report as soon as possible. Dealing with those two type of men, I would have taken that so serious, and he would have been locked up for terrorist threats messing with me long ago. But anyways, all things in God's timing, I suppose. Okay, the security guard stood there silently while Combs threatened her. And she said, we'll just have to see. Basically back to Sean Combs, which probably got him off. He probably felt like, oh, this B ain't scared of me. You know, that probably made him feel some type of way. She said she felt like she couldn't convince him that she was trustworthy at that time. And said that she could have been more transparent about what she had done in her career previously and her employment background. So she kind of blamed herself when it came to the situation of him threatening death to her, you know. And to me, that right there is just, that's ridiculous. That let him know not only is she still willing to work with me, but she has a victim mentality because she's blaming herself. She has that mentality of where she needs to prove herself to me, and he needs her to feel that way. Okay, so one time she said he was discussing his guns. She heard him talking about it. Combs and his manager at the time had gotten into an elevator after they did an event at MTV that involved rapper 50 Cent. And now, mind you, 50 Cent talked about being brought up in this case. He didn't like it, of course. And the people on the elevator were there listening, and Sean Diddy Combs was telling everybody that he had an issue with 50 Cent. After that, he said, I don't do that. I like guns. And his demeanor was serious. He basically was threatening to shoot 50 Cent, saying that he's not going to go back and forth with him. Then he accused her of stealing jewelry. He said that she stole some diamonds that was on loan to him from a jeweler at one point. She had been assigned to hold the jewelry as they traveled from New York to Miami. Then she realized the bag that was holding the jewelry was missing before they even got to the airport. Combs went to Miami and left Capricorn Clark with his security guard, who then questioned her for hours upon hours like some type of interrogation, like a police interrogation. Okay, and the next day the guard picked her up from her home and left her in a locked, vacant office space with another man who gave her a lie detector test. She then testified that the man told her at the time that if she failed the test, they're going to throw you into the East River. And which is sad because, first of all, she was not able to identify this lie detector test man. Secondly, this could have been a setup, okay? This could have been a setup from this person administering the lie detector test. He could have said that it was false when it was really not false. because these were Diddy's people. He could have simply said it was false when it was not false and gotten her offed out here in these streets. So that is a dangerous situation to be in itself. And it just shows the wielding of power and control that he had over his assistant. So then she said she took multiple lie detector tests for Diddy after he accused her of stealing that diamond jewelry from him. She said she was petrified. And she said at one point the person administering the test told her that she needed to calm down because the results kept coming out inconclusive. He said, "I'm not getting a reading. You're going to be in the East River if I can't get this reading. You need to calm down." She said, "I wouldn't calm down." Eventually, one of the security guards took her home, picked her up the next day, and they did the test all over again. She testified that she was taken to the same vacant office building for questioning with a lie detector for 5 straight days. Listen to this. Why does Sean Diddy Combs have a vacant office space to torture people in? Like, why do you have this office space? I'm extremely confused by this office space. That is like something out of a movie or a book. Like, why in the world do you have this office space to torture people in? I'm just asking. So then she says she didn't want to do it, but the lie detector test was the only way to prove that she was innocent. So she kept doing it. She wanted to prove that she was innocent. She said she didn't report it to the police because she signed a non-disclosure agreement, which I don't know if that's valid for the police. Judge Arun Subramanian sustained an objection at that point from the defense about the NDA and told the jury to disregard the NDA. I don't know that that is relevant to telling the police anything. Anyways, after 5 days of a test, Clark said that she returned to work. She said that he never asked her where she was or what she was doing during the 5 days. He never mentioned the lie detector test to her, and she never knew if the jewelry was found. Hell, for all she knew, there was never any jewelry to be found. He might have just been wanting to give her a hard time. You never know. Capricorn Clark said that she worked from 9 to 4, typically as a personal assistant, without breaks or without meals. And that's from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m., by the way. Not like to 9 p.m., from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. From 9 a.m. to the next day till 4 a.m., okay? No breaks, no meals. He told her if she failed to complete any tasks that she would lose her job. And the losing the job thing and losing the career thing has seemed to be a theme with Diddy, where he has constantly been threatening to make sure that people in the industry will not have their positions, to make sure that people no longer are able to work, or that they're blackballed, they won't have a job, they won't have a career. I mean, Day 26, Danity Kane, Cassie Ventura, all of these scenarios are sad. And he's not only doing this with people that want to be in the music industry, but he is also doing this with his own employees, people that are behind the scenes. She said that on a good night that she got about 4 hours of sleep, but that she developed stress-induced alopecia working for him, and that she made $65,000 annually at that time, which is an extremely low amount to make if you're working that many hours. I myself on YouTube 1 year made $70,000, and I was not even working those hours. I was working overnight at times, but it was not round the clock like that. That is absolutely insane, because I definitely need to get my rest on, if y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. She said she was due $80,000 for 3 months of overtime, but she never got that money. And this was around 2004 to 2006. A human resources representative from Bad Boy presented Combs with a sheet that calculated that Clark was owed $80,000 for a 3-month period of overtime. He ripped the paper up in her face, she said, and she was never compensated for that time, which is absolutely ridiculous. Then she talked about the alias for the hotel stays, and how he would travel with drugs and cameras and his phone numbers, his phone books to his escorts, okay? When he traveled to his rooms, they were reserved under the name Frank Black or Frank White, which was the name that Notorious B.I.G. actually came up with. And not only did Notorious B.I.G. come up with that name, but that is a name that was used to open his laptop as well, Cassie's laptop. So the name Frank Black, like I said, was a nickname for Notorious B.I.G. It was actually Frank White was the name that he would use. She said, I would unpack all of his clothes and shoes and personal belongings and put them in their place. He traveled with a toiletry bag that contained drugs and a camera box, which had 4 cameras, along with a small bottle of baby oil and a small bottle of lube. She said he would also bring candles to provide lighting to these rooms. After he would stay, she would sweep the room for anything left behind. She said sometimes she saw damages to the room, which included handprints left in oil, which is absolutely disgusting because Lord knows where he was putting that oil and what he was rubbing it on. Lord, because I know a little bit of something about the oil. Okay. Anyway, prosecutors would need to show criminal meetings of the mind in order to prove conspiracy charges. According to a legal analyst, the testimony of Capricorn Clark should corroborate with Kid Cudi and Ventura's testimonies, which they did. But the prosecution still has a lot to prove. Now, this is only day 10 that I'm reading to you guys, that I am summarizing for us so that we can get a clear understanding. Here's the thing, okay? By day 12, okay, because I'm on day 10. By day 12, the prosecution will have laid out a RICO. And I just want to make sure that I let y'all know that right now from this moment, because I think I'm going to break these videos down into a few different videos, but I'm just letting you know that by day 12, the prosecution will have laid out a RICO. All right. So with that being said, the employee Capricorn Clark goes on to say that she saw Combs doing ecstasy and Molly at least once a week, in addition to his prescription medication, that his drug use did increase over time. A man called One Stop usually made the drug stops where they were in L.A., and the drugs were delivered to her or to Combs directly. Combs asked her to get him ecstasy fewer than 10 times. She saw Combs doing drugs one time, and he offered it to his friends and his girlfriends. During a trip to France in 2006, he had asked her to get cocaine when she was accompanying him for that trip, and he responded that it wasn't for him. Clark then asked the security guards to obtain the drugs. So Clark would get the prescription drugs for Sean Diddy Combs, and sometimes the prescriptions were made out to her, and sometimes they were made out to Combs. There is no way in the world that I would have allowed this man to put any drugs in my name, not whatsoever, not whatso-how. You're not going to do it, okay? Capricorn Clark says that Combs had 100,000 euros that he made from club bookings in Europe. She counted the cash, and she believed that he kept it in his personal safe in his bedroom. Now, apparently that money was not accounted for. You're not supposed to be traveling back and forth without, having those things accounted for, right? So she said a former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs recounted a time when he was at Diddy's Miami home in 2006. When she arrived, Combs told her, I don't care what goes on this weekend, you are not to leave this house. That is a form of kidnap. You do not tell her she cannot leave the house. That is crazy. Combs later directed her to escort a guest to another Miami location. She said she stayed for about an hour before receiving a call from Sean asking where she was. Clark said when she returned to his home, he told her, see, your problem is you want a life and you can't have that here. And so basically she waited an hour before she went back to Diddy, and he told her that she got a problem. The problem is that she wants a life and she cannot have a life and be around him. Okay. The following day, Clark said she told his chef, Combs' chef, I hate it here. And the chef went back and told Diddy, she said she hated it there. He immediately looked at me and said, you hate it here? And he charged her. Sean began pushing her and demanding that she get out of his house. He pushed her about 30 yards out using 75% of his force, about 75% of force. Eventually, one of his security guards intervened, telling him to stop and telling Clark to go pack her bags. She testified that she left because of the incident, because it was crossing her boundary for him to put his hands on her. Ex-employee comes to the house. So Capricorn Clark says a former employee for Sean Diddy Combs returned to work for him in 2006 after an incident at the Miami home, but not directly under him. So Clark says that she came back to work for him, but not directly under him. Okay, is what the understanding is. She said that she accepted the director of marketing position for Sean John Women's because she didn't think that she would have to see him or work directly with him. I didn't want to be in close proximity to his personal orbit like that after that incident of him putting his hands on her, she said. In 2011, Capricorn Clark was also managing Cassie Ventura as a creative director. So she's had plenty of roles in Sean Diddy Combs' life. And I think maybe the reason why he kept some of his same employees around is because he knew not a lot of people was going to deal with his crap like that. So anyway, she worked as Cassie Ventura's creative director. She said that Combs had final approval over everything, including Ventura's physical appearance and any opportunities that she could take. She had started testifying about Cassie dating Kid Cudi in 2011. And she said that they would sometimes hang out, they being herself, Ventura, and Kid Cudi. They would hang out, and one time Cassie texted her and asked if they could pick up Kid Cudi, and she told, Capricorn Clark told Cassie to delete those texts because Diddy paid for both of their phones at that time. Capricorn said that she was very concerned about Diddy finding out about the relationship between Cassie and Kid Cudi, and that she took Ventura to Best Buy to buy a burner phone because she didn't want the situation to get out of hand, which was crazy because why am I having to run from somebody when I'm not with them anymore, right? If I'm dating someone else. It goes to show the intimidation, the power wielding, the unnecessary abuse, the mental manipulation. It just goes to show he's like the crazy ex that you can't get rid of that you need to file a restraining order on. That's all I'm saying. Capricorn Clark was sitting on that stand quivering and shivering and not in a good position. You can tell she was nervous. She was pretty much, not in her best state of mind, not in her best physical state, describing what was going on between her and Sean Diddy Combs. Now, she says that he one time showed up at her home with a gun and threatened to kill Kid Cudi. This was the incident that I was telling you guys about before, about why I don't see that it's a bad thing that the forensic DNA specialist is saying that they found female DNA on a Molotov a bomb explosion thing device. Well, the reason why cocktail device is because Diddy is directing these people to do all this stuff. So what are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, she says in December of 2011 that Diddy had showed up at her home, banging on her door like a crazy man, and that she could see through the peephole that his pants were split up the seam from the knee upward, exposing his underwear. When she opened the door, Clark said that he was holding a gun and he was furious. He just walked in her home and he said, "Why didn't you tell me?" after he just walked right in her home. And she said that he was holding the gun and he told her, "Get dressed, we finna go kill him." Okay, they're finna go kill Kid Cudi. When she tried to protest, Diddy said, "I don't give a F what you want to do. Go get dressed." And then she said she was so scared that this was the first time that he had been to her home in LA, and that she didn't know that he was going to show up, and definitely not show up in that fashion. She said that Combs was livid and furious, mad at me, quote unquote. "I had never seen him with a weapon. I had never seen him making me do something like this." So this was the first time she really was getting a load of who this bad boy really was. Okay. So he shows up at her home. She gets into the back seat of the car. One of the security guards is driving. Combs is in the car with his gun in his lap. They drove to Kid Cudi's home. Combs and the security guard entered the home. Obviously, that's burglary, home invasion. She stayed in the car and called Cassie on that burner phone that she helped her to go buy from Best Buy. And she basically told Ventura that Combs had come to her house with a gun and that they at Kid Cudi's house waiting to go kill him. She said that she then changed Cassie's contact name in her phone to Stormy so that he wouldn't know that he called Cassie, and that she could hear someone yelling, "He's in my house," in the background. Now, this directly corroborates the testimony that Kid Cudi left on the stand when he said that He was with Cassie, and when he found out that Combs was in his home, and he started yelling, "He's in my house," and was on his way to the house. He said he hung up and called Combs and Capricorn Clark, right? Capricorn Clark says that she said, Ventura said, Capricorn Clark says, let me go backwards, okay? That she told Cassie that Kid Cudi should not face off with Diddy because obviously Diddy had a comb at the time. She told Cassie, stop him. He gonna come get himself killed. Ventura said she couldn't stop him, that Kid Cudi was on his way to the house. He testified to that as well. When Diddy got back in the car, he asked Capricorn who she'd been talking to. He called Cassie's burner phone, which was on the last call record of Capricorn's call log, and then he became furious when he found out what it was. He said, "B word, what the F word is this number?" A short time later, Kid Cudi had pulled up to the Escalade that they were in outside of his home, Kid Cudi's home. And he pulled up in an accelerated way. He was upset. He pulled up quickly, fast. You're in his home. Combs' vehicle followed in hot pursuit. She said it felt like forever, but couldn't have been any longer than a minute. Combs threatened to murder if the police were told about the break-in at Kid Cudi's house. Okay? She said that directly after that incident at Kid Cudi's home, that Combs and his security guard went to a nearby nightclub. Combs told Capricorn to call Cassie and tell her that he has me and he's not going to let me go until I come get her. Okay, on the phone, Cassie responded that Clark should come get her. Clark testified. Combs then said that she and Ventura needed to convince Kid Cudi not to tell the police that Combs was involved in the break-in at his home. He said, if you guys don't convince him of that, I will kill you all. And he's talking about Cassie, Capricorn, Clark, and Kid Cudi. Y'all can imagine how that goes over to the jury. This man's just walking around threatening to kill people. He's also having this talk about Suge Marion Knight, which we know that is a dangerous situation to get involved in. That is not a good thing at all. Okay, Capricorn Clark says that she saw him completely go crazy on Cassie after he broke into Kid Cudi's house. That he said, if you tell on him, he's going to hurt us all. This is now, mind you, this is Capricorn Clark telling Cassie what Diddy is telling her to say. If you tell on him, he's going to hurt us all. And then Cassie responded to her by saying, do you really think he will? And she said that when they went to Combs' Los Angeles rental home, that Combs was in a robe and some underwear. He began kicking Cassie as soon as he saw her, because Capricorn Clark went and got her and took her back to Kitty's house. Capricorn Clark went and got Cassie and took her back to Diddy's house, and as soon as he saw her, he just went off based on the situation with Kid Cudi, began kicking her like a crazy person. The security guard stood there as he repeatedly kicked her, and he threatened to hurt Capricorn too if she tried to stop him from kicking Cassie. She eventually left after the security guard told her to leave, but Cassie was still there on the ground with Combs continuing to kick her. Clark said that she called Regina Ventura as she left the property, and she said, please help her. I can't call the police, but you can. And Regina said she would handle it, and then hung up. Now, mind you, Cassie's mother has had to see and deal with all of this stuff that her daughter has gone through as well. And I just couldn't imagine getting a call that my daughter is just being kicked around by this big black man who is controlling her and her career. Okay, Capricorn Clark then said an arson investigator reached out to her in 2012 asking her to make a statement about the arson investigation involving Kid Cudi's vehicle. She said she hung up the phone and she didn't want to provide a statement. She said, I just want this whole thing to be over. She said that she never discussed the arson incidents involving Kid Cudi with Combs because she was scared. She was afraid. Clark's alleged that Diddy told her several times that he should kill her over not telling him about Cassie and Kid Cudi, that this happened over and over again where he would threaten her. He said, I should kill you, B words. I should cut her face, talking about Cassie's face. And she said that he had threatened to kill her about 50 times between December 11th and the following summer. December 2011 and the following summer. After that, he told her that she could not be friends with Cassie anymore. Now, this is a form of isolation in this particular incident. And she said that now her and Cassie could no longer be friends and they would only see each other for work at this point. She said her relationship with Ventura changed because obviously Cassie was going to do what Diddy told her to do. In early 2012, she informed someone in human resources and Harv Pierre, the former president of Bad Boy Records, about the kidnapping incident and how Combs wanted to kill Kid Cudi and beat Ventura. And Pierre, all he said was, that's crazy, but it's going to be okay. So you can obviously tell that his staff was desensitized to things like kidnapping your employee from their home at gunpoint and demanding that they drive you to Kid Cudi's house and then threatening to kill Kid Cudi in the process. That is crazy. Not only that, but committing arson. Mind you, all of those things are a part of racketeering, RICO. And so this is why he is being charged with RICO. Capricorn Clark said she was fired in 2012. She was still being sent to work while she was on a vacation. So she told an HR employee that Diddy was mad at her because she, quote, didn't tell him his girlfriend was cheating on him. She was then terminated shortly after because whatever employee she told that to obviously went back and told Sean Diddy Combs. She was accused of taking an improper vacation as her reason for being let go from the establishment. And she said that later on she was with Rihanna on vacation. Yes, our own little bad girl Riri. That's where she was. So he had threatened her career after firing her, saying that she would never work again, that he would show all these people that he would show her all those people that were not her friends, and that he would make me try to kill myself, is what she said. Which is crazy to me, because he is clearly blackballing people out of the industry. Now, Capricorn Clark said that she received a settlement through his attorney over wrongful termination allegations in the fall of 2012. She didn't want to disclose the amount, but the fact that she knows that she was wrongfully terminated and that it's brought up in this RICO case is a big deal, because it shows exactly what was going on, the culture of this particular enterprise over there at Bad Boy Records and Sean Diddy Combs, under Sean Diddy Combs' care. He is a horrible boss. And this is the part about running businesses that people get too comfortable. He clearly was mixing his business with his pleasure. And that is a sad thing, because he's gotten himself in a whole lot of trouble. He ain't getting out of this. There's no wiggle room for this after this point. So she returned to work for Combs in 2016, okay, which was stupid. So after she got fired in 2012, 4 years later, obviously the emotions had died down. Things had gotten a little bit more normalized in her life. And she said, oh, well, why don't I go back and work for Sean Diddy Combs? Okay. She hadn't been able to find another job, she said. And she wanted to try to get her life back, is what she said. So she reported to Combs, and he approved all of Ventura's projects, because that's what she was, doing. She said that she noticed an increase in Cassie Ventura's drug use at this time. She eventually left the position in 2018, and that was the last time that she worked for Cassie. So, and Diddy, let's just say Diddy, because at the end of the day, that's really what it was. All right. So the prosecution now has the burden of showing a pattern of criminal activity by Sean Diddy Combs and his associates. Now, at this point, they have to reinforce the racketeering conspiracy charge and prove this beyond a shadow of a doubt to this jury. Okay. There is a pattern of threats, a pattern of guns, a pattern of drugs, lawlessness, certain behaviors over a period of time that prove intimidation, threatening, kidnapping, threatening people's lives. different stuff like that. And so that is why we have what we have here today, racketeering. And this is, like I said, day 10. This is just the very beginning of them proving this RICO, because a lot of people were like, oh, well, Diddy just had a bad relationship with Cassie. No, baby. No, no, no. You have to understand what a RICO is. RICO is arson. It's sex trafficking. It's wrongful work environment. The word that I'm looking for is basically enslaving your employees, stuff like that. That is all a part of RICO. Okay. Capricorn Clark said that she retained an attorney in 2023 after Cassie Ventura filed her lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs. The lawsuit traumatized Capricorn Clark. She said she met with attorneys for Diddy in April 2024, and they spoke about the possibility of her working for one of Combs's company again. And she said she wanted her life back, but she never heard from the attorneys after that. And she hasn't spoken to Cassie since 2018. So even still, she was willing to work for Diddy, knowing the type of conditions that she was working under. So the court took a small little break right in between this time that she was asked that question. And, Diddy's mom was there. His sisters were there. His mother kissed the defense lawyer, Nicole Westmoreland, on the cheek during this little break. Diddy's sister, Keisha, who's not missed one day of this trial, she was present, standing there by her mother. On this day, his children were not in the courtroom. Obviously, the girls were graduating and celebrating, the twins. His mother was overheard by reporters saying that she did attend the graduation and the prom for the twins. And during Capricorn Clark's emotional testimony, she patted her eyes. Diddy's mother patted her eyes with a tissue. She seemed to move her eyes from Diddy to Capricorn Clark. But when she looked over in Diddy's direction, she clenched her jaw. She kind of bit down on her jaw. She was really upset in regards to this situation, with Capricorn Clark and her testimony. Okay. So far on day 10, there's been 3 employees that have taken the stand. They've talked about lie detector tests. They've talked about his physical violence towards Cassie. They have talked about the Kid Cudi incident. They've talked about some of their own boundaries that have been, crossed. Some of their own boundaries that has been, that they've been assaulted themselves. I'm starting to get a little bit sad. And the reason is because I feel like, with you being a black man and you having an opportunity to really work your set like this and to really have this blessing under you like that and to take advantage of it in a way that is not beneficial for you or the people around you. It's sad. This is kind of making me a little bit sad. It's sad to sit here and watch and listen to these testimonies of these people who just wanted to make a way for themselves and make a life and, have their life in the industry that they desired, and how hard he made things back on, how hard he made things on people. It's saddening. It is to me. And I don't see him getting out of this. And he just really ruined a lot of people's lives. And so to have to sit and listen to that and witness it from this standpoint of view is really sad. If you are Sean Diddy Combs, you are shaking in your boots. You are sitting in that chair at that defense table, jotting down questions to try to help yourself. But if you are Sean Diddy Combs at this time, that you are being painted as a bad, bad person. And not just by Capricorn Clark, but that you're going to do some time at this point. Because all they have to do is prove a RICO. This woman just said that you came to her house at gunpoint with your pants split and told her, you don't give a damn what she doing, get in the car. That is a whole kidnapping. That is RICO. And not only that, but Kid Cudi sat up there on the stand and said, well, I didn't see him light the car on fire, but Capricorn Clark did. There are people that are corroborating statements. And when I tell you this prosecution is laying this thing out brick by brick, they are building this house. They are building a brick house, stacking it up and presenting an entire picture of what exactly they are charging this man, Sean Diddy Combs, with RICO for. I mean, they are really doing a good job, because at the end of the day, these people are people that not only worked with Sean Diddy Combs, but that are still willing to work with him, knowing what he has going on. So it's not like they just hate the man. They don't just hate him. They still willing to work with him. But the truth is the truth. And that's how it looks on the stand. That's how it looks to me. And I'm sure positive that that's how it looks to the jury. Well, they don't just hate him. So they're not just up here hating and just throwing anything out there. They still want to work with the man, even though they know he's not the best person. So, the only thing they can do, though, is tell the truth, because they are under oath, and they've been subpoenaed. They're being forced to do this. It is what it is. Capricorn is back on the stand after the small break. The jury is re-entering. The defense attorney, Mark Agnifilio, is about to do his cross-examination. I'm sure Capricorn Clark is not happy about this cross-examination that's about to come her way, because Sean Diddy Combs, like I said, is sitting there jotting down questions that he wants his defense team to ask her. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio began by confirming that she was an employee of his, that they had met before. Agnifilio and Tenny Garagos, another attorney for Sean Diddy Combs, Jonathan Davis, they met with Clark, who bought an attorney and a friend with her on April 10th, 2024. He asked her to confirm that she told the lawyers at that meeting that Sean Combs wouldn't be in this mess if he had kept her around. She acknowledged that she probably said something like that, and they discussed the possibility of her returning to work for him as his chief of staff. But I'm going to tell you what, I feel like they set her up. They never was planning on her working again for Sean Diddy Combs. That's the reason why they never contacted her back. They just wanted to be able to say in court when she took the stand, because they knew she was going to be subpoenaed. They want to be able to say, but you would have still worked with him, though. That's all they wanted to be able to say. And she let herself get set up like that. It was manipulation. She also told the lawyers at the meeting that Cassie wasn't good for Diddy. The attorney that accompanied her to that meeting was Brian Friedman, and he's a well-known attorney that is in ongoing litigation with Blake Lively actually right now. Returning it to that meeting in April 2024, Agnifilio suggested that she was told it would be impossible to hire her amid the ongoing criminal trial investigation into Combs. And she said she didn't remember him saying that. But of course, again, they only set her up by even offering her a position, because they wanted to be able to bring this up and ask these questions in court today. Okay, Capricorn Clark said that she met him around 2002 in New York City, that their relationship was 1000% platonic. She said that Diddy took ecstasy in the early stages of their friendship, and his drug use increased over time. She also said that she texted Combs in June 2021, "Did you ever know that I had the biggest crush on you before I started to work for you?" Okay, this is what Capricorn Clark has texted Diddy. So now this is becoming completely inappropriate. But of course the defense has to do their due diligence. She said, "We hung out all the time. I played it super cool. I don't think you knew. I just knew for sure that you like to have me around." She said she don't remember saying that to Combs, but she recalled reaching out to him in 2021. And of course, they didn't have his side of the text, only her side of the text, claiming that she had a crush on him, which is crazy to me. All right, court went to lunch soon after that. That's a crazy way to leave off to go to a lunch. Okay, prosecutors said that they are ahead of schedule as far as their questioning of their witnesses. So then they come back from lunch, and the judge is back on the bench. Capricorn Clark is back in the testimony's chair back on the stand. And defense Mark Agnifilio, the attorney, is back on cross-examination. Capricorn Clark says that she and Cassie Ventura started developing issues around 2008. Here's a quote. She got a little bit more bravado being his girlfriend the longer it lasted. She went from being more of a sweet model to a feisty girlfriend. That's and this is why, with women it's a little bit sticky when you're working, and then you got the personal. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio asked Capricorn if she thought Ventura was talented. She said, "I think that she's talented." And when he asked her about her live performances, she said that they weren't great. He said, Capricorn Clark said her drug use was preventing her from the opportunities that were before us. So the reason why he asked Capricorn Clark about Cassie Ventura's drug use and all this stuff is because it's just showing that, Diddy wasn't stopping her from having a career. There were opportunities in front of her that she was stopping herself from having with her drug use, basically, is what Capricorn Clark is saying. Okay. So there was this thing of where it was saying that Diddy had given Cassie more resources than he had given other bad boy artists. And Capricorn Clark testified to that under cross-examination. So she's basically saying Cassie had the opportunities in front of her, but was she willing to take them, or was she able to take them because she was using drugs? Okay, Ventura had more attention and resources than other artists had at the beginning of her career between 2007 and 2012. Capricorn Clark said, from my point of view, the lion's share of Bad Boy was on Cassie in that first block of time. And so, of course, the defense attorney, like I said, is just showing that Diddy was not keeping this girl from having a career. So, yeah, she said that Cassie Ventura seemed to be getting the same amount of attention as Machine Gun Kelly and French Montana around that time. Even though Combs took a step back, she believed that Cassie Ventura still had the same support system when he had not taken a step back. That's a big deal for Sean Diddy Combs. However, it doesn't disprove her RICO or her kidnapping allegation. Clark says Ventura was not forced to dye her hair once she became the creative director for Ventura. Clark helped create a new look for Ventura for the MTV Music Video Awards that required Cassie to dye her hair neon yellow. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio asked Clark to confirm if Ventura was on board with the look and had any say in the decision of her look. Capricorn said that she presented the idea to Cassie, who liked it, before she told Combs about it. The defense attorney explicitly asked Clark to confirm that Ventura was not forced to dye her hair against her will, and Clark said she was not. But to me, so what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure exactly why he feels like that is such an important aspect, because she wasn't forced to dye her hair against her will, but she was forced to do so many other things against her will that I really don't see the point in even saying that. It's kind of weird. Anyway, Capricorn Clark said that she first learned Cassie and Kid Cudi were getting to know each other around Thanksgiving 2011. Kid Cudi came to her apartment to hang out once, sometime after Thanksgiving. Clark said that about a week before the alleged kidnapping, she picked Ventura up from Kid Cudi's home after Cassie had spent the night there. And she understood at the time that Cassie was still in a relationship with Diddy. How could you even call that a relationship when if Diddy didn't mind her having intercourse with other men, why should she feel some type of way about having intercourse with Kid Cudi? My only thing is I hope Kid Cudi went and got himself checked. That's the only thing, okay? Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio suggested that Capricorn Clark told an agent from Homeland Security that Diddy came to her door with a building security guard early in the morning and kidnapped her to go to Kid Cudi's house. Clark repeatedly denied saying that she said that. and she maintained that a security guard was not with them. She testified that Combs demanded a security guard let him into the building that morning, and the guard was fired after he let Diddy into her building. So not only, is he walking around kidnapping people, but he's demanding to these people that know who he is, you let me in this building, and getting these people fired. I mean, what kind of junk is going on in Diddy's life? This all sounds like some type of Wild Wild West movie to me, okay? Clark disputes defense claims that she voluntarily accompanied Combs in 2011 because obviously the defense is trying to make her look like she voluntarily went with Combs to Kid Cudi's house. She refused to admit to that because that is not true. She said she didn't want him doing something stupid, yes, but that she didn't voluntarily go to Kid Cudi's house. She said, I didn't want to go. I went because he told me that he didn't care that I didn't want to go, and he had a gun, basically. She said he was jealous. He had a very bad temper. She said, I wouldn't use the word jealous guy, obviously, because, it's Sean Diddy Combs, so you ain't going to say that in front of him. But he had a very bad temper, so she wouldn't use the word jealous. But that's exactly what it was. She said she was unsure of how Sean and his security entered Kid Cudi's home, but somehow the security guard got through the gate surrounding Kid Cudi's property. She said she wasn't sure because their backs were to her and she wasn't paying close attention to what they were doing. She said, I was praying that Kid Cudi just wasn't inside that house, which I'm so grateful that he wasn't because obviously Diddy went over there to do something. He clearly had time, which the good Lord gave him, to think better of what he was doing in between the time that he went to Kid Cudi's house and broke and entered into his home and the time that Kid Cudi actually showed up to his home from wherever he was with Cassie. So then the defense attorney, Mark Agnifilio, asked Capricorn Clark whether she told Cassie Ventura and Kid Cudi that Combs had a gun when she called Kid Cudi from outside of his home. She insisted that she had told them about the gun. She was speaking very quickly so that Sean wouldn't see her on the phone. I said, Puff came to my house with a gun. We came to Kid Cudi's house to kill him, and then I heard they're in my house. And that was Kid Cudi, because obviously Kid Cudi could hear what was going on the phone. Okay, so she said that she had also called Lauren London for about 30 seconds for her own protection before she called Cassie. Okay, I want Lauren London to take the stand. Her name's been coming up way too much, way too soon. I'm going to need her to take the stand. Clark was outside the house while Sean Diddy Combs and his security guard were outside. She had testified, she was like my sister at the time. I just wanted somebody to know where I was, she said. And while she was saying all of this, she was crying on the stand. He was in the house, and if he did get killed, I just needed somebody to know where I was just in case this went really bad. So she clearly was afraid that Diddy was going to kill Kid Cudi and then kill her herself. After thinking about it on the stand, Clark said it was possible that London was on a three-way call with Cassie. She testified that she can't remember whether London had called separately from Cassie or whether she spoke with them on a conference call. Okay. She said Combs would periodically come outside the house, but his security guard stayed inside of Kid Cudi's home. Clark testified that on one occasion, Combs checked her phone and then called Cassie from it, asking who the phone number was. Now, mind you, this is her repeating everything that she said for the prosecution. But, of course, the defense wants to reword it and make you look at it from a different perspective. All of us street jurors, The call was cut off, and then they heard Kid Cudi's car approaching. And that's when Kid Cudi sped off, and Combs and his security guard jumped in the car and chased him. So apparently he may have seen a gun, or he may have sped off to the police station. We don't really, what we know is that Diddy was chasing this car down. Capricorn Clark said that she broke into tears as she saw some emails that she sent to Diddy in 2014 and 2015 asking him to forgive her. She said earlier in that day, although she was officially fired in 2012 over a vacation that she took, She believed he actually fired her because he was upset about her knowing about Cassie's in relationship with Kid Cudi. She said she felt like she was a protector for Diddy and he didn't have anyone to look out for him without her on his staff. The email is me pleading like, dude, let it go, she said through tears. She was hurt because she believed at the time that Ventura wanted her fired. She thought it was Cassie that wanted her to be fired. It also bothered her that she believed that Combs only hired her again in 2016 because Cassie wanted to work for her or wanted her to work for her. So she basically wants to be Diddy's friend, she's saying. And this is what the defense wants to prove to the jury. Yeah, I was hurt that I thought that he only hired me for Cassie and I wanted him to want me to work for him. I wanted to be his friend is basically what she's saying, okay? So then there's redirect on the case right now. Under the redirect from the prosecution, Capricorn Clark talks about the settlement that she reached with Sean Diddy Combs after her 2012 firing and the mutual non-disparagement agreement that was a letter of that Combs signed a letter of recommendation for her. So they had a couple of documents between them. They had the NDA, they had the non-disparagement clause, and then the letter of recommendation that Sean Diddy Combs signed for her. But it was said that he never signed the recommendation letter. So she couldn't get a job in the industry after that. Okay, even though she kept her side, she kept her NDA, she kept her non-disparagement clause, but he never signed the letter of recommendation, and she just felt like she could not get a job. She was stuck working for him. He had blackballed her at that point. She said in a meeting that she thought about possible employment with executives from Interscope Records, but they told her to leave Combs alone and that it wouldn't end well for her. That was so crazy. Anyway, the judge at that point went ahead and struck that part of the testimony from the record after the defense made their objection. Clark testified that she continued to work throughout 2015 but wasn't able to find a new job because she was blacklisted. She said she wasn't able to find steady work in the entertainment industry, so she started consulting. Here's a quote: "At this level of business, he holds all the power as it related to me." And that was very, very sad. To feel like you can't get a job because you're being blackballed by someone that you used to work for really sucks. That's really not a good feeling. Now it feels forced. Now I'm forced to work for Sean Diddy Combs. Even though I want to go do something else with my life, I cannot do it because I am forced to stay working for this man. He has made sure that he is the beginning and end and everything in between as far as my career goes. And that really just sucks. With that being said, the witness was off the stand. The jury was dismissed for the day. Okay. And yeah. So the defense team in Sean Diddy's case, they had a concern about call restrictions at the prison, at his prison, okay, at the jail that he is at. There's call restrictions at the prison that don't allow him enough time to speak with Diddy when he returns after the trial at the end of the day. So once they want to speak to him when the trials are over, because mind you, he has to be reprimanded right back to custody. They don't have time to sit down and talk to him or keep going into the courthouse and or into the jailhouse to meet with him. They have to have prior approval to just be able to come in there. They have to have a visitation schedule. It has to be on the professional visitation schedule. So for instance, if the personal visitation from your friends and family is on Saturday, then you might have professional visits that are only held on Mondays and Wednesdays. Mind you, they have an active trial going on, so they need to be able to call and talk to their client so that they, can keep their defense afloat, and they're not being able to do that. Also, he doesn't have enough time to speak with them. There are rules when it comes to the phone. When you're in prison, you only get 30 minutes on the hour, okay? Or when you're in jail, you might get 15 minutes on the hour. You might be able to call over and over again, but guess what? You have to wait in a line. You only get one phone call per 15 minutes because there's 20 other people behind you waiting to use the phone. And if you don't let them use the phone, you're going to have a problem. You're going to be in there fighting. It don't matter who you think you are. You can be Sean Diddy Combs. Those are the people right there that's going to challenge you. They're going to say, oh, you think you Sean Diddy Combs and so that mean I can't call my family? Like, nah, dude, I've been doing this before you even got in this jail. Like, it can go down right here, right now, and I can show you who you ain't in here. You know, there are people that will challenge you in there like that, okay? So Judge Submaranian said that he thinks that there's a disconnect between the defense and the prison officials and that he would help them find a solution to that. The prosecutor plans to call 4 more witnesses on day 11, which I'm not mad at because it was some good testimony. Let's get into it on the next video. This was day 10. Thank you for joining me, your girl True Diamond, here on my backup channel. I'll see you guys on the next video, day 11 of the Diddy trial. Make sure y'all hit that playlist, like, and subscribe.